a new 2024, a new year for new possibilities and new choices, and a year for visions to be realized and dreams to be made manifest. So here we are, and I feel it's the best. Frankly, I was reading last night a terrible news report on the ABC about how the Gaza Strip is being flattened and reduced to rubble. And I was reflecting, well, what's causing so much violence that the Israelis feel that they must utterly eradicate the Palestinians from the Gaza Strip? And the answer's extremely simple: fear. If the Israelis were not living in fear, then they would not be seeing these 1.9 million people as less than human or as terrifying, and they wouldn't be destroying their home. Obviously, there's many challenges that lie with having people that are in their political leadership sworn to your destruction living on your doorstep, and we see that, and we saw that just recently. But if with a heart that didn't see separation, they then went to the Palestinian people, and there was an understanding and a commonality in humanity, then it would be humanity that was living in that strife-torn region, and not the Israelis and the Palestinians. There'd still be tremendous differences and distinctions, tremendous bridges to be crossed. But they would be bridges that could be crossed, because a bridge has a fixed point in one end and a fixed point in another, and you can meet in the middle. So that's my view of the situation, friends. So I want to quote a little from the Buddha's ancient teaching called the Dhammapada. And the Dhammapada is a compilation of teachings taken from various places in the main body of the teachings of the Buddha. And the Dhammapada is a compilation of wisdom, an ancient and much loved compilation of wisdom. So the Buddha, in the opening few stanzas, because it's in verse, shows us the way to the ending of hatred, shows us the way to true and lasting peace. And I wanted to share that with you, because not many people know about this teaching that are not part of Buddhist circles. And certainly, this is a good translation, so I wanted to share it with you today. So here goes. Okay. So this is, I'll just show you what this is. This is the Dhammapada, the Buddhist path of wisdom. And this is the translation for those who are interested, by Buddha Rakkhata Thera. With an introduction by Bhikkhu Bodhi, and this is the 1996 edition. And so if we jump down to page 33, where it begins, we can see how the Buddha shows us the way. Because the Buddha first begins, mostly I won't read the Pali, but in one place I will, because I feel that it's powerful vibrationally and truthfully. So the Buddha teaches us that mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief, and they are all mind-wrought. If with an impure mind a person speaks or acts, suffering follows him like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox. Because remember, this is 2,600 years ago, so they had ox-drawn carts, and obviously the wheel must follow the ox. And so too, suffering will follow you if, in speaking with an impure mind, a mind that's clouded with hatred, clouded with fear, clouded with delusion, clouded with lust, if those are where you're acting from, then suffering will follow. And we see that all over the world, all throughout history. And then the reverse. Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind wrought. If with a pure mind a person speaks or acts, happiness follows him like his never departing shadow. And today I had a neighbor come over, a relative of my housemate, and she's so full of happiness. She counts her blessings every day. Every day she's in joy. Every day she's in bliss. And she knows the state of the world. She's not ignorant to the state of the world, but she knows that she personally cannot help the people in Palestine, the people in Israel, and so forth and so on. But she can contribute peace to the world. She can not contribute discordance. You know, ceasing to contribute discordance, ceasing to contribute hatred, ceasing to contribute judgment and fear is powerful, because we're putting out truth, we're putting out love, we're putting out connection. To the extent that this wise neighbor goes to visit a pair of trees each day and spends time with them. And I said to her, well, they'll be happy that you're coming. And she said to me that she feels that these trees are not happy that she's coming because they offer unconditional love for all. So let's just sit with that a moment. Trees on the beach offering unconditional love for all. All can come and sit in their shade. All can come and take rest. All can share in their energy with no discrimination, no separation, no distinction. That's beauty, friends. That's wisdom. That's truth. So let's continue a little more. He abused me, he struck me, he overpowered me, he robbed me. And as we see in the media, this is very relevant right now with Israel. Those who harbor such thoughts do not still their hatred. He abused me, he struck me, he overpowered me, he robbed me. Those who do not harbor such thoughts still their hatred. So if you harbor such thoughts as he abused me, he struck me, he overpowered me, he robbed me, if you harbor such thoughts, if you make a home for such thoughts, if your heart is a place where such thoughts can land and take root and grow, as they will, because the more that you bring such thoughts up, the more that they grow in strength, the more that they grow in power. And if you don't harbor such thoughts, then you still your hatred. Your hatred comes to an end. But if you continue to harbor such thoughts, as we see for literally hundreds and hundreds of years and even thousands of years, then such thoughts lead to the continual stirring up of hatred. So it's only by not harboring such thoughts, and this is the ancient wisdom of the Buddha speaking to us from 2,600 years ago. Only if we don't harbor such thoughts is hatred stilled. And then this is one of my favorite verses of all time. So I'll read it in Pali first. Nahi varena verhani samanti da kuda chanang avarena cha samanti esa dhammo sanantano. And what you've just heard in the ancient language that the teachings were recorded in is hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. By non-hatred alone is hatred appeased. This is an eternal law. So, what is that saying to us? Nahi varena varani, not by hatred, and then samantida. So, not by hatred, which is varena, not by hatred is hatred coming to stillness, coming to an end, coming to cessation. So if Israel chooses to flatten the Gaza Strip, it's done with hatred. And so does their hatred and the feeling of hatred that they have in their hearts. And does the feeling of hatred that in return the Palestinians bear for the Israelis, does that hatred cease? It never can. It never can, because there's only hatred heaped on hatred. This is what the Buddha is showing us from these words. And then awarena cha samanti. By non-hatred alone is hatred appeased. Awarena. So it's called a privative prefix. It's a prefix that negates or removes. And so the absence of hatred, non-hatred, without hatred. And some people, and they argue that they do so rightfully, they translate awarena simply as love because they believe that's what the Buddha was intending. But I want to say here that awarena, non-hatred, without hatred, the absence of hatred, I actually feel that's more powerful because what's been spoken about previously is putting down hatred. And so this is the Buddha just reiterating what he's already just taught us, that if we put down hatred, if we let go of hatred, if we separate ourselves from hatred, if there's no more hatred in our hearts, then hatred is appeased. Then hatred comes to peace. Then hatred comes to stillness. So Samanta, it's talking about, it means even, it means calm, still, like a still water where the wind is not blowing. So it's awarena that is the path of peace. It's the ending of hatred, the putting down of hatred, that is the path of peace. So let us reflect on that beautiful teaching and let us take that beautiful teaching into our lives. So although we can't actively bring peace to those far away, we can actively bring peace to our hearts, and we can actively bring peace to those all around us. And if each of those of us does that, that hears these teachings or similar teachings, then the world is indeed a more peaceful place. And the more that do so, the more peaceful it becomes. So if there is someone in your life who does insult you, who does challenge you, just please know, if you harbor thoughts of hatred against that person, hatred will never cease and peace will never come to your heart. And right now, if I was to take a poll and I was to include inner peace as one of those qualities that was on that poll that people are seeking, I think it would rate very highly. And speaking with people, they spontaneously will say, I want inner peace. I want more inner peace. Because they feel so stirred up. They feel so challenged by events in the world and challenged by events in their life. So let's take this guide from the Buddha as a beautiful pointer that shows us the way. So lots of love, friends. The happiest of happy New Years. Yes, there is hatred. Yes, there is separation. Yes, there is division in the world. Let us not act upon those. Let us see instead the truth, as Adida talks about, the truth of prior unity. Let us see that we are all the one heart, the one love, the one humanity. And in that commonality of humanity, let us act to see the other as a brother, to see the other as a sister. And in so doing, let's have a magnificent 2024. Love to you all. Bye for now.